Welcome to the Pineapple Pinup the Hot Wife Life podcast. On today's podcast, I'm going to talk to you about the Christmas party mentorship, um, an email that I got from a couple of listeners, and so, some toy ideas I have from my friends over at privateadventures.net. We went to a Christmas party the weekend before Christmas. Let me tell you the story. So, we went to this evening endeavors party. It was the one that's a little bit closer to us, but not terribly closer to us, but in the less desirable hotel situation. I actually like the hotel, but the way that the rooms are laid out, it's a little bit more um, awkward. It's a little bit less um, useful. So we went to the party, and it was great. Um, It started out a little weird. There was a strange vibe in the room. There was a lot of people from that I had never met before there. There was a football game on, so that had everyone distracted from the party. And they basically waited for a lull in the football action to start the party. This, as a woman, is the story of my life. A lull in the action of football is when I get seen and heard. But that's okay. Um, and when I say football, I'm so sorry. I mean American football. We were hanging there watching the game. My husband had actually recorded this game to watch at home. So when it was on at the place, it sort of ruined it for him. But he ended up watching it. And then eventually we went over the rules and we started to wander off and find places to play. I was approached by someone who I have played with multiple times, who has this attitude of superiority. Um, so much so that he wants to basically brand his girls with his swag. So when you fuck this particular gentleman, he will give you gifts, trophies, if you will. And he went to my husband and said, I'm going to wait to fuck her until after all the rest of these jokers shoot their wad because I don't like to be interrupted and I want her to go out on the best. Okay. Anyway, so it was a very weird start to the evening. And then he approached me and told me the same thing. Told me that he was gonna wait until the rest of these jokers. And I'm just like, okay, I am really not here to put comparison on anyone. I'm literally here to have different sexual encounters with a multitude of people so that my husband and I can have a rehashing of it, a discussion about it, and a reclamation from it. I am not here to be, I don't know, I'm not here to be top dick, I'm not here to run a contest as to who's being voted off the island. That's not what I'm doing. What I'm doing is I'm going there and I am having individual moments with multitudes of people, individual moments of sexual gratification or sexual banter or sexual chemistry or whatever it is. And it's different with every single person. There was one gentleman there, he was kind of new and he was the first person I played with. So he took me into the room and we started to play. And I, of course, got my towel and we played and it was great. I mean, it was really, really fun. And he got me off many times. Meanwhile, okay, so much like um, a dungeon in BDSM, there are monitors at a party usually. Usually, what there are, if you go to a hotel party, especially, is the host will set up a couple people that are just going to keep an eye on what's happening in the rooms. Keep an eye on and make sure that nobody is taken, like that nothing is taken too far. So, the monitor for my room was a gentleman I have played with many times before. And he went full Winnie the Pooh to monitor. And monitors are not supposed to play. Monitors are not supposed to be in on the action because when you're in on the action, it basically takes away from the job that you're supposed to be trying to do, which is make sure that everyone is safe. And he was having a rough time getting himself fully engaged, which is not a problem. It is a normal thing, especially in a room full of males that are all King Konging the fuck out of some stuff, you know? There's a lot of testosterone. There's a lot of head games going on. And sometimes in an environment like that, your equipment's just not going to work. It's not going to work the way you want it to. And the more you think about it, the more you dwell on it, the more you try to force it down someone's throat, the less it's going to work. Okay? So, for some reason, I spent a lot of the night trying to get taffy to harden. And it was almost epidemic in the fact that there were multiple guys that were affected. It was almost like it was contagious. This guy was monitoring poorly and taking up so much of my time trying to get him engaged that it became something where the other people waiting started getting the yips. So I ended up, I think it was 4 guys that I was trying to coax into play ready levels of, but that took, I kid you not, if you're basically screwing around with somebody for 10, 15 minutes, trying to get them to a point where they think they can, they can't, we try it again. That is a lot of time that I spent pulling taffy. Okay. And that is not a judgment against anyone, but there was a room full of men that were waiting for the opportunity to play. And I am not saying that you don't have the right to play and you don't have the right to try. What I'm saying is don't bogart the punch bowl. If you're having trouble, stand back, get your head straight, let somebody else step in and don't cause the epidemic, because when somebody sees you struggling, then they start getting the yips themselves. It is a very cyclical, very contagious mindset that makes it difficult for a lot of people to, because then you start getting the anxiety and the fear, and the anxiety and the fear are only going to add to the problem. So I'm not in any way discouraging anyone from trying to play. What I am saying is that if you're having trouble, maybe step back, take a minute to get your head straight, and then try again. But don't occupy the time of one of the few people who are actually playing so that nobody else gets a chance. I ended up spending a majority of my time this way that night. And I played fully with, I think, 4 men. I think I finally got fucked. And then, of course, the guy, the king, the one, the alpha, the whatever, he came in and decided he wanted to finish me proper. So he had a go at me, and in the middle of this, in the middle of this, I said, I have to pee. And he said, squirt all over me. And I said, I don't have to squirt. I have to pee. Because I need everyone to know there's a difference. There's a difference between squirting on someone and peeing on someone. Okay? They're different holes. It's different anatomy. It's different structure. I'm not saying that no pee ever comes out, but I'm saying that that's a different mechanism. That when I say I have to pee, it's because my bladder is full. I can tell my bladder is full and I need to go relieve it. It is not something that I'm going to pee on you in a bed in a hotel. I'm just not going to do it. Okay. So, that's my public service announcement for today. Please don't ever think that squirting is the same thing as peeing. It's just not. It's different altogether. So that one threw me for a loop. That one threw me off my game. But I ended up fucking him. And then there was a new guy there that I had never seen before. And he was new to the party scene. And he was thrilled by the fact that I was funny. And he kept announcing it to the entire room when I would make him laugh. Not when he was playing with me. He was just standing there waiting for a turn with someone. And I would say something and he would, she's funny. And it kept happening. And to me, that's kind of the nature of I'm surprising to people because I don't take any of this seriously because this is not serious. This is fun. This is a good time. This is an adventure. This is not rocket science. This is not world peace. This is fun. This is anxiety and stress relieving fun. This is not quiet in a library, not dramatic reenactment of this isn't anything. This is fun. And you should take everything that you're doing as fun. And you should be able to laugh and you should be able to giggle and you should be able to say funny things. And you should be able to do it all with some lightheartedness. Otherwise, kind of what's the point? Anyway, so this new guy and he was having some trouble. He was having some trouble. I don't know if any of you have seen Magic Mike, but he was having some trouble finding someone who fit the slipper because he was very long. Okay. And he had been tapped out of more than one session because she was like, the girl he was playing with was like, nah. So I had just finished with the alpha, and he came over and he said, "Can I play with you?" And I said, "Yeah." And he found someone that was able to fit the slipper. Now, this is not in any way, shape, or form a brag. This is just anatomy. When I like, I know that this is going to kill it for a lot of people, but who have breeding fantasies. But I had a hysterectomy. Oh, crud! 8 years ago, almost 8 years ago, 7.5 years ago, and they took my cervix. Now, most of the time, when a girl is having trouble taking the dick, it's because of the fact that he's bruising her cervix, which is a very, very sensitive muscle. It is really painful when it gets battered. And this muscle is resilient. This muscle is not going to cave. This muscle is not going to give, because this is a muscle that holds back a baby, amniotic fluid, an entire womb full of things from escaping into the world. A cervix is an incredible muscle. So it is very resilient, but sensitive. You can feel it. And you can feel it when basically a dick is just hammering away at it. So the fact that I don't have a cervix just means that things that would be normally very painful, and I would look somebody straight in the eye and say, "Get the fuck off me," I don't do that anymore because I don't have that problem, because all I have is vagina, which is incredibly elastic. That is not the case with a cervix. A cervix is designed to be a gate, a fence, a force, a wall. And you're not going to stretch that wall. You're not going to do that with your dick. You're just not going to do it. So, for me, being able to take a longer dick, it's possible. For me, being able to take a longer dick for longer periods at higher speeds, possible, because of the fact that I don't have that cervix, because I got the factory shut down and the playpen put in because I didn't need the crime scene. So, this is where I have an advantage sexually over a lot of women. I have the ability to go longer because I'm not being cervix tapped. I'm not having that physical reaction to play. And all the women out there will tell you it's when the cervix gets like really beat on. Now, mind you, there are times when getting your cervix hit can actually cause some erotic pain that causes orgasm. It is a mechanism within your body that is trying to get your cervix to let the sperm in. So it is like it's very it's very complex, but too much, and it's too much. It's too much. So I have that advantage. And he was shocked out of his gourd. He had found somebody who could take his dick. take it all. And he kept like, look me in the eye. Look me in the eye. And don't get me wrong. I understand that eye contact for some people is very, very erotic. For me, it's awkward. But I do the thing that women do, which is I follow direction really, really well. So I looked him in the eye and he pummeled me and he kept fucking me deep and he kept going and he kept staring and he kept going. And then he was amazed by the waterworks that went off. And I stole that man's soul. I watched it come out of his body. Well, actually, I didn't watch it come out of his body because it went into a condom, but I watched the light in his eyes as the soul left his body. It was but I'll get it more into soul stealing when I talk about the next party. It was very exciting. Anyway, so that night it was good. It was a good party. It got too crowded and my husband and we don't do overheated, overwhelming, overstimulating. We just get the hell out, go get a sandwich and go home. MJ from Virginia reached out to me and with an email and said, I've been listening to your podcast for about a week now. I happened to stumble upon it in my recommended list. I have been in an exploratory phase of kink for about a year now. First off, I have been so appreciative of you sharing your experiences, lessons, and wisdom of navigating the diverse community. He compliments me some more, but I'm not going to get into that. Although I'm still starting out, it is so helpful to pass the time as I've been traveling over the past week. The topic that came up for me is about mentorship. As someone new, I feel there's so many directions to go, yet it can feel overwhelming to know how to navigate. Perhaps an episode on mentorship in the lifestyle could be something to add to your podcast. Okay, so let's talk about mentorship. We don't call it mentorship in the lifestyle or in kink period. A lot of times that's not how anybody I know has ever referred to it. We call it friendship. We make friends in the community, and friends are universally the same. Some people know more than others in certain areas. And so to get the information, we just connect and we make phone call and we call one another and we talk to one another. Now, if you're asking me how to go about finding friends that can help mentor you in different aspects of kink, I highly, highly recommend going to meet and greets, going to munches, and it depends on the kink that you're interested in. If you're interested in a very specific type of kink, get on FetLife and find your tribe. Okay? Explore what it is that you're interested in. Find a group that is talking about that. Find a group that is holding an event near you and reach out to them. I cannot tell you how, when I first started in kink, it did not start out as lifestyle. It started out very BDSM oriented, very rope play. I actually went to classes to learn how to tie rope because they have those. They have classes. If you are looking for someone to show you the ropes, then you find a person that you feel you can connect with, meet them face to face because that's important, and then get on a buddy system with them, strike up a conversation. I will tell you that if you are I had a couple newbies go to a couple of parties that I went to recently. As a matter of fact, the gentleman that I spoke about in this episode who was like, "Oh my gosh, she's so funny." He was very new, and many times my husband was sitting there and giving him basically directions on how to navigate the party scene, how to go from coming to the party to coming at the party. It is I understand that it is a whole new world out there, and that when you are just starting out, everything can seem super intimidating. But I find that if you jump in with some direction in mind, if you jump in and you say, I'm going to go meet people, that you can ultimately go and meet people. And meeting people is the best way to do any of this. Have a conversation, talk to people, develop people that you want to go have lunch with, go talk with. 90% of the reason why we were so unsuccessful the first time was because we were afraid to have the conversations. We were afraid to have the conversations with each other. We were afraid to have the conversations with others. We just didn't get the information that we needed. And because of that, because information is power, information quells fears, information takes away anxiety, information is power. Okay. You do not have, you don't, you're, we went in as a couple. We had a buddy system. We had a way that we could communicate, me to him, him to me, and we could kind of, this person sees it differently, can kind of give us some perspective. And that's how we found what works for us, because frustration and irritation at being stood up and insecurity and all that other stuff was becoming quite a bit to overcome. So when we found parties, it was a whole different scene. And I cannot stress this enough. If you are interested in lifestyle parties, go check one out. There's nothing that says you have to play. There's nothing that says that you have to become part of something. And if you are terribly uncomfortable, cannot find anyone that you connect with, no one's holding you there. This is the most chill environment. We are accepting. There is people ask you, and if you say no, you say no. If you say yes, and then you want to say no then. The thing is that mentorship is one of those things that you're not going to find yourself a quote unquote sponsor. Okay. A lot of times people just don't have that kind of energy to bring to this, but you can find people you can find people who are 100% willing to share their experiences. This is a case in point right here. I talk to people all the time because I'm terribly interested in how they got into kink, how they got into the lifestyle, how they got into how their relationship works within kink. How did they end up, like, many times you'll find that people show up to parties differently. Sometimes they come with people, sometimes they don't. And what is it about the dynamic of their relationship that allows for that to happen? I am so curious, which is why I sit down and I talk to them and I have conversations. And I'm very excited because I met a lady who I hope to interview soon who went through like she has a different relationship with her husband and kink than I do. And I find that exciting. I find that interesting. I find her journey to be absolutely cool. So when you just need to be curious, everybody just needs to be a little bit more curious and ask a few more questions and find out what's drawing what's drawing people to this life. What's drawing you to this life? And if you know what's drawing you to this life or into any sort of kink, it can help you find people that you can relate to. Now, I'm going to say, honestly, if you want mentorship, go to FetLife. There is somebody there who is in your bubble. He's in your sphere. They are doing the work. She's been here long enough to have experiences. They are moving in a direction that's different from where they started, and they can tell you how they got there metamorphously. Um, we do not talk to one another enough. We spend so much time social media throwing up pieces, curated pieces that we don't really have the conversations. And mentorship is a conversation. Telling somebody your experience, giving them some wisdom, giving them some pitfalls that you found, and helping somebody navigate through the newness of it all. But I got to tell you, I have never once met anyone who came to the lifestyle or came to kink the same way. Just because somebody is willing to share their experience with you does not mean that's the same experience you need to have. Somebody's experience, somebody's path may not be your path, but you can't find that out until you talk to them. Anyway, that's my theory or belief about mentorship and what we should finding the curiosity of it all. Okay. I have been getting a lot of new listeners lately, and I am so grateful, and I am so glad that you are all here. They're catching up on old episodes and the like. I did have Z who wrote to me and said, I love the idea of a reclaim period for your husband. This is the missing piece for so many of us. It makes the whole play idea work for us, and personally, I would demand nothing less. However, when your husband is made to clean up the other guy's mess, I feel that it becomes something else. Now, I don't intend to yuck anyone's yum, but as far as I can see, it is not a reclaim, but a submission to the bull's dominance. I hope your husband feels differently because it's all about him at this point. Okay. And what's really funny is that later he wrote me again. I just listened to every podcast you posted nonstop. OMG, I feel like my whole brain has been rewired. LOL. I guess a person can collect many misconceptions in their lifetime. Thanks for straightening me out and blowing my mind in so many ways, especially the reclaim ideas. Although I still have my own ideas to try first. Who knows? Okay. I just want to say that your feelings about reclamation and about cuck cleanup are 100% valid to your person. You do not have to take the reasoning that my husband uses as your own. You do not have to take the reasoning that I take as your own. This is the best part about kink. Even though we're all participating in the same coital acts, the thing that each one of us is getting from it can be 100% different. And if there's some piece of the kink that you're not interested in discovering or interested in taking part in, then I highly recommend that you curate your own adventure, curate your own list of things that you are interested in. I myself have found that as we move through kink, as we move through the lifestyle, we change. We change our perceptions. We change what itch is being scratched. And the reclamation period is absolutely vital in so many vixen stag relationships. It is hot wife, cuck, whatever. That is the part that brings you guys back together. The part that says, this was about us, where we go back and we relive those moments, those times, those things that happened. And there are times when we get home too late and can't do a full reclamation, but we still come back together because we have a conversation about what it all was, about what happened, about how that made me feel, about how that made him feel, about what was exciting, what was laughable. Because I got to tell you, if you're not laughing about a lot of the stuff that's going on, you're not doing it like I do it, okay? I love to giggle and laugh and enjoy myself and tell silly jokes while I'm in those moments, because it does not need to be dramatically tense for me. And as I've gone over on the last podcast, sometimes it does need to be that for other people. But when my husband and I sit down and we go through it and I talk about how that dick stretched me and molded me, and I was, trying to find a position where my leg wasn't like falling off, and I was trying to, and then all of a sudden I got this hip cramp but oh my God, and so for me, reclamation is all about rediscovering what it was that we did, rediscovering what it was that we went through. And then sharing it to be a mutual memory. Most of the story of our life is the memories we've made. And that is why I want my husband and I to have mutual memories of these exciting, play-filled times, because mutual memories are mutually recollected. And when you mutually recollect, you share that. Do you remember that time that we went to that party and that thing happened? And it brings it all back. It brings it from history into the present moment and gives us revives that feeling and creates more of that electric energy between the two of us. Personally, that is my love language. My love language is very much mutual memories, shared experiences, rehashing them, talking about them, bringing them back to the present so that you can remember what it felt like and you can remember the silly things that you laughed about. I love that. And I love everything about that and the excitement that it brings. And I plan to make many, many, many more rehashable memories with my husband. And that is the dream. That's the goal. My husband got me a toy for Christmas, and I am very, very excited about it. But the logistics of it is sort of like there's some I have some. So I went to my friend, privateadventures.net, to see if there was anything that I might be able to find that might be able to help me with this new toy. Um, because it is a very powerful machine. And one of the things that I found was the Temptasia Surrender Sex Chair that I'm very excited to try out, to try to get, because this is something that can help support me and help me find the right position to use this new toy in. I'm very excited about this. So, the best thing I can tell you is that when I have something that I want, like, I just want to explore, I just want to see what's out there, I just want to see what's exciting. I go to privateadventures.net and see what's new in the market. And if you want to support the pod, which I would highly, highly be grateful for, you can go over to privateadventures.net and use the promo code pineapplepinup10, and they will support the show with that. I am very excited because I'm probably putting this in my cart before I before I leave for the day. Head over there, take a look, see what floats your boat, see what's exciting and adventurous, because sex toys are a way to rekindle those memories, to start the conversation on, you remember that time that we went to that party? And then that that guy with that huge, and then he was fucking me from behind, and it's a great way to start all of that over. That's what it felt like when he was fucking me. And I love everything about a toy. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I love everything about a toy. I love the fact that toys are exciting and intimidating and are so ready to be played with whenever you're ready to play. Anyway, head over to privateadventures.net and find your own adventure. And remember, Pineapple Pinup 10. Thank you so much for joining me today on the Pineapple Pinup, the Hot Wife Life podcast. Shout out to my new listeners, Ozzy Man. I really appreciate you all taking the time to reach out to me. You can catch me on my socials, which are listed in my show description. And you can also contact me on my email at pineapplepinuppod@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you and get any feedback you might have. Thanks for listening.